Welcome everyone. Today we're diving into the oh-so-controversial world of woke culture. Grab your popcorn because this is going to be a wild ride. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the term, woke essentially means being aware of social injustices. Sounds noble enough, right? But as with anything on the internet, things can get a little messy. We're talking pile-ups of think pieces, Twitter wars that could melt your phone, and enough performative activism to make your head spin. So, buckle up as we unpack why everybody seems to be hating on woke culture these days, and trust me, there's plenty of material to work with. First up, we've got the perceived overreach of woke culture. Critics argue that it's gone from addressing genuine social injustices to infiltrating every aspect of our lives, from the movies we watch and the books we read to the brands of toothpaste we buy. It's like woke culture is on a world domination tour, and no aspect of human existence is safe. I mean, I'm all for equality and justice, but should I really be worried about my coffee order being problematic? Because who doesn't love a good overreach, right? It's like that friend who takes one bite of your sandwich and suddenly declares themselves gluten intolerant. Next, we've got the issue of intellectual inconsistency. Now, the goal of any social justice movement should be to uplift marginalized groups, right? But sometimes, it seems like woke culture picks its favorites. It's like the woke Olympics, where everyone's vying for the gold medal in outrage, but only certain groups even get to compete. And let's not forget the mental gymnastics required to keep track of who's allowed to say what and when. It's enough to make your head spin faster than a Twitter thread after a celebrity tweets something vaguely offensive. And speaking of Twitter mobs, let's talk about cancel culture, shall we? You know, that delightful little phenomenon where anyone who makes a misstep, however small, gets publicly shamed and ostracized. It's like the digital age's answer to public flogging, except instead of Rotten Tomatoes, we're pelting people with angry tweets and calls to boycott their work. Because nothing says justice like a good old-fashioned public shaming. It's like we've collectively decided that everyone deserves a life sentence in social Siberia for the crime of, well, sometimes it's not even clear what the crime was. Did they use the wrong pronoun? Did they laugh at a joke that wasn't woke approved? Who knows? And then there's the whole issue of identity politics. Now, acknowledging the struggles and experiences of different identity groups is important, but when we start prioritizing group identity over individual merit, things can get a bit sticky. It's like we've created this bizarre us versus them mentality, where your worth as a human being is determined by your race, gender, or sexual orientation. Who knew that trying to be inclusive could be so exclusive? It's like trying to get into an exclusive nightclub where the bouncer is judging you based on your demographic data instead of whether you look good in those pants. And let's not forget the ever-evolving world of woke lingo. It's like trying to navigate a minefield of potentially offensive terms where one wrong word can land you in the social media slammer. It's like needing a dictionary just to have a conversation. It's gotten to the point where even the most well-intentioned people are terrified of saying the wrong thing. You know, because apparently, people of color is now outdated, and BIPOC is the new hotness. But wait, what about Latinx? Is that still cool? It's enough to make you want to give up on language altogether and just communicate through interpretive dance. Which brings us to another major criticism of woke culture, its impact on free speech. Look, I'm not saying we should all be allowed to run around shouting racial slurs with reckless abandon, but when people are afraid to express their opinions or even engage in debate for fear of being labeled a bigot or, God forbid, canceled, that's a problem, because nothing says freedom like being afraid to speak your mind. It's like we've replaced the right to free speech with the right to not be offended, which, let's be honest, is about as realistic as expecting a toddler to share their toys without a fight. Chapter 7. Woke Capitalism Profiting Off Social Justice. And then there's the whole economic side of things. Now, I'm all for diversity and inclusion, but when companies and organizations focus on these initiatives at the expense of actual merit and productivity, it can create a whole new set of problems. Who needs a thriving economy when you can have endless diversity training? It's like we've decided that checking boxes is more important than, actually being good at your job. It's like that friend who shows up to a potluck with a store-bought veggie platter and acts like they've single-handedly saved the rainforest. And speaking of trust, it seems like all this woke washing is having the opposite of its intended effect. Instead of fostering understanding and unity, it's actually eroding public trust in institutions like universities, corporations, and even the media. It's almost like people don't trust being told what to think. It's like that friend who tells you they're not mad, just disappointed. You know they're full of it. But hey, it's not just regular folks who are fed up with woke culture. Even celebrities, those paragons of free thought and expression, sometimes, are starting to push back against the cancel culture craze. They're realizing that maybe, just maybe, there's a middle ground between being a raging bigot and being so terrified of offending anyone that you become utterly incapable of original thought. Because sometimes, a joke is just a joke. And maybe, just maybe, we can learn to laugh at ourselves again without fear of being banished to the social media shadow realm. And get this, even the younger generations, the ones who practically invented being offended on the internet, are starting to question the woke orthodoxy. Surveys are showing that Gen Z and millennials are increasingly frustrated with the rigid doctrines of woke culture. Even the young rebels are rebelling against the rebellion. It's like they've realized that constantly walking on eggshells gets exhausting, and maybe, just maybe, there's more to life than policing everyone's language and canceling anyone who doesn't conform to the latest woke ideology. And there you have it, folks. The many reasons why woke culture is getting on everyone's nerves. From its perceived overreach and intellectual inconsistencies, to the chilling effect on free speech and the rise of cancel culture, it seems like woke culture has become the very thing it swore to destroy. A source of division, censorship, and dare I say, a whole lot of eye-rolling. Remember, it's all in good fun, unless you get canceled for laughing. See you next time.